My name is Amara Keiko Davenport, and I'm 37 years old. On paper, I'm the stepdaughter of California real estate mogul Colton Davenport, the so-called quiet one, in a family of overachievers and legacy builders. To them, I'm the odd one out, the half-Japanese, soft-spoken youngest who ran off to Tokyo to work in marketing. They don't know I'm the CEO of a $98 million AI company built from the ground up in the back streets of Shibuya. They don't know I've negotiated with defense contractors, survived 3 takeover attempts, and once walked away from a deal that would have made me a billionaire because it would have cost me my soul. I've spent my life keeping my empire a secret to protect it from them, from the greedy hands that turn blood into leverage. And still, I wasn't ready for what I heard my stepfather say that night in Japanese, because that was the moment I realized he was planning to erase me. And the worst part, everyone else in the room already knew. The driveway was still slick with rain when I pulled up to the Davenport estate. Security lights cut harsh shadows across the marble lions flanking the entrance. I parked beneath the 3rd spotlight, killed the engine, and waited. One breath, then another. You don't walk into a lion's den without checking the exits first. Inside, the house smelled like polished oak and politics. The familiar hush of wealth pressed into every surface. Somewhere deep in the back, a piano note struck, hesitant, like someone testing whether they were still allowed to play. I took the side hallway. I always do. As I passed the gallery wing, I heard it. A voice speaking in low, fluent Japanese. Male. Sharp. Intentional. 彼女は全く気づいていない。彼女を完全に排除する。今夜、資産は移される。She has no idea. We're cutting her out completely. The assets move tonight. I froze. That voice. Colton. My stepfather hadn't spoken Japanese in years. Not since the Kyoto deal fell through. And even then it was clumsy. This was surgical. Clean. Practiced. I shifted my weight, keeping to the shadow behind the tapestry. There was more. If she resists, we frame her. Tokyo police will bury her. Foreign CEO. No leverage. No legacy. Silence. My blood ran cold. A lifetime of playing small suddenly felt like a setup. Cut. Footsteps. I backed away fast, turned the corner, just as the kitchen staff wheeled a tray past. 2 men in suits I didn't recognize were entering the dining room. Japanese, by posture, by dress. One of them carried a black leather folder. I saw the logo before the door closed. Takashima Holdings. Tokyo. I'd turned them down 8 months ago. Aggressively. What's hidden can't be stolen, I whispered under my breath, repeating something my mentor once told me. It has to be exposed first. They were here to take everything. With Colton's help. With my family's blessing. I adjusted my blazer, counted to 3, and stepped into the dining room like I hadn't just overheard the opening move of a corporate execution. Every face turned. Evelyn, my stepsister, smiled with tight teeth. My stepmother, Carolyn, tilted her wine like it was a stage prop. Colton gave me the smile he used on reporters. Amara, he said warmly. So glad you made it. Wouldn't miss it, I said. I took the empty chair. The one farthest from him. The one they always saved for the girl who doesn't matter. As the appetizers were served, I scanned the table. 3 Japanese executives. 1 translator. My family of snakes. And in the center, that black folder. I didn't speak. I listened. Colton switched between English and Japanese seamlessly, boasting about our family assets, the California holdings, expansion potential in the East. Every now and then, he dropped a comment about the marketing girl in Tokyo, like I wasn't right there. And then in Japanese, he said it again. She's just a face. Decorative. We can replace her. We already have the signatures. I picked up my wine. My hand didn't shake. Colton lifted his glass. To family, he said. To control, Evelyn added under her breath. I smiled. Swallowed rage like red wine. The woman next to Colton, petite with blunt-cut bangs, met my eyes for just a second. Something flickered. Pity? Warning? Then she looked away. Family, I said. My voice steady. My spine steel. They think I'm powerless. Tonight they'll learn how wrong they are. The wine tasted like iron. I kept my face blank, eyes soft, body still. Inside, my pulse was a jackhammer. Colton shifted his chair slightly to the left. A subtle move. Intentional. His right hand now blocked the folder. The Takashima rep on his right gave a tiny nod. Transactional silence followed. I caught Evelyn watching me. Not directly. Side-eye. Calculating. Her lip twitched, half smile, half smirk. You seem quiet tonight, she whispered. I turned. Sometimes silence is the loudest answer. She blinked. Didn't get it. Didn't care to. Cut scene. Carolyn clinked her spoon against the glass. Fake laughter trailing behind. We should toast. To legacy, to global expansion. I raised my glass. To the things we don't see coming. There it was again, that flicker. Rena, the woman with the blunt bangs, seated beside the translator. Her expression neutral. But her fingers gripped her water glass too tightly. A vein in her temple pulsed. Distraction. Her napkin slid. Purposefully. She bent, retrieved it, slipped something under the table. I felt it press against my foot. No one noticed. Not even Colton. I waited 10 seconds, adjusted in my chair, crossed my legs, bent down as if retrieving a dropped earring. A card. Plain. Matte black. Tiny white ink. They're not who you think. Be careful. I pocketed it, swallowed whatever just rose in my throat. Cut scene. The dinner dragged on. Colton boasted. Evelyn polished her halo. The translator offered dry chuckles at all the wrong moments. No one mentioned me. Not once. Dessert came. I declined. I stood. Apologies. Early flight. Colton arched a brow. Going somewhere. Nowhere you'd enjoy. The second I cleared the door, I moved fast. Side hall. Marble floor. Left corridor toward the study. Door locked. Standard keypad. I typed the code. 10:24. His anniversary with Carolyn. Click. Inside smelled like bergamot, stale whiskey, and printer ink. Documents lay in neat stacks. Power came with neatness. I moved quickly. Opened the bottom drawer of the locked credenza. Found what I feared. Transfer orders. Electronic authority. A prepared resignation letter. Notarized. All forged. My name. My title. My signature. They'd rehearsed this. They didn't expect me here this week. They didn't expect I could read the Japanese notes in the margins. Rena's handwriting, probably. She used older kanji forms. A Tokyo native, not Osaka. Cut scene. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I silenced it. Buzzed again. Do not go back to Tokyo alone. I looked at the screen, then at the room. A flash of shadow moved across the frosted glass on the study door. My heart stuttered. I stepped back from the desk, shut the drawer softly, killed the lights, waited. Another shadow. 2 seconds. Then it was gone. Cut scene. In the garage. The night smelled like engine oil and cold metal. My car sat under the overhead light. I moved faster than I should have. I didn't care. No cameras down here. Colton never trusted digital security. Once inside, I locked the doors, started the ignition, backed out clean. Rear view mirror. A black SUV sat at the far end of the lot. Lights off. Engine off. Watching. Or waiting. I didn't breathe until I hit the main road. Rain started again. Thin, needling, insistent. You know the line. Trust is a currency. Once it's spent, you go bankrupt in silence. I had less than 48 hours before this all went public. Before the Tokyo press spun a narrative I couldn't outrun. Before the forgery became fact. The woman they thought was a decorative afterthought? She was the one who built the damn company from her kitchen table. And they were about to find out what happens when you corner the girl you thought was just a ghost in a boardroom. If they forged my signature, what else were they willing to forge? I drove for 45 minutes before I allowed myself to cry. Not a sob, not a breakdown, just one clean tear. It slid down my cheek and vanished into the collar of my coat. Then my face reset, like steel cooling. You only break in safe rooms. And I didn't have one anymore. Cut. The SUV behind me was still there. 2 car lengths back. No headlights. I took the I-280 exit. Slowed. Turned onto a residential street with speed bumps and Halloween decorations, still up in January. The SUV followed. Slow. Deliberate. I hit the gas. 3 turns later, I cut my lights and pulled into a stranger's driveway. Killed the engine. Counted backwards from 10. The SUV rolled past. Kept going. I exhaled, but I didn't start the car again. Instead, I reached for the envelope in my glove box. A passport. Japanese. Issued under my mother's maiden name. Dual citizenship had always been a weapon in my back pocket. Tonight, it became a shield. You never win by playing the board, my mother once said. You win by flipping the table when no one's looking. Cut scene. Hotel rooftop. Downtown San Jose. Cold wind. Neon buzz. He stood waiting. Same worn leather jacket. Same quiet eyes. Zen Ito hadn't changed. Amara, he said. You're late. You're paranoid. I've alive. He handed me a flash drive. No words. We sat on a bench beneath a dead light. They moved early, he said. 6 accounts, all routing through dummy shells in Singapore. First transaction, hit this morning. 12 million gone. 12. My voice cracked. Another batch queued for midnight, Tokyo time. That gave me 10 hours. He handed me a burner phone. Already powered. Preloaded with a contact labeled Rena. She wasn't just watching from the sidelines. She was feeding both sides. She's scared, Zen said, but not silent. Cut. The flash drive revealed more than money. Email threads, memos, voice notes. Colton and someone inside the Tokyo office. Legal department. All conversations time-stamped. Coordinated. Colton used Evelyn's private equity fund as a laundering corridor. The fake documents were fed through Hiroshi Kengo, head counsel. My former ally. They weren't just stealing the company. They were building a cage. Read this, Zen said, sliding over one last document. It was a subpoena. Pre-drafted. Tokyo Metropolitan Police. My name, my company, an accusation of fiscal fraud and digital manipulation of investor portfolios. I had been turned into a criminal. On paper. In advance. That's why they need you back in Tokyo, Zen said. They're not afraid of exposure. They're counting on it. Frame me. Ruin me. Replace me. They already started. Cut scene. A knock. Fussed. Hard. Zen pulled a gun from his waistband. I moved to the wall out of sight. Breathe. Don't freeze. Knock again. Then silence. Zen opened the door 2 inches. A flash of a woman's face. Then she pushed her way inside. Rena. She wore a hoodie. Her eyes were bloodshot. They know I warned you, she said. I have 12 minutes before someone checks my GPS. Who's they? I asked. She hesitated. Kaito Nakamura. My stomach dropped. The founder of Takashima Holdings. The man who tried to buy me out last year. The man I'd humiliated in front of 5 boardrooms. He's not the buyer, she added. He's the one building the prison. Cut scene. We ran. No time to think. Zen behind the wheel. Rena in the back. Me riding shotgun. Gripping the flash drive like a live grenade. The car turned. Then again. Black SUV in the rear view. A different one. Same model. Same blackout windows. They're not following, Zen said. They're hurting, I said. He blinked. They're forcing us somewhere. Cut. Traffic jam on the bridge. A man in a construction vest stepped out into the road. Too slow. Too calm. His walk-off. Zen swore. Spun the wheel. We veered onto the sidewalk, tires skidding against steel rail. Shots rang out. 1, 2. Rear window exploded. Glass hit Rena's hoodie like shrapnel. She screamed, ducking. Zen floored it. We make it to Milpitas, he shouted. We disappear. I didn't answer. I was staring at the bullet hole in the passenger side door. They weren't trying to scare us. They were aiming to kill. Someone in Tokyo wants me dead, and someone in this house is helping them. The warehouse smelled like rust and old storms. Zen killed the headlights, and darkness poured in, thick enough to breathe. For a moment, none of us moved. Breath fogged the windshield. Rain ticked against the metal siding like impatient fingers. We shouldn't stay long, Rena whispered. We don't have long, I said. Cut. Inside, the warehouse was colder than the night. A single lamp flickered above an abandoned workbench, casting skeletal shadows across crates stamped with outdated shipping labels. Nothing alive should have been here, which made the silence worse. Zen plugged the flash drive into his laptop. The screen lit his face in a ghost blue wash. Encrypted, he said. High level. The password phrase isn't random. Rena shifted nervously. It's not random because it belonged to someone who died for it. I stiffened. Say his name. Shinji Nakata. For a beat, my lungs forgot how to work. My co-founder. My friend. My equal. 6 months ago, he accidentally inhaled toxic fumes in our Shibuya lab. Investigators called it equipment failure. I called it impossible. His death wasn't an accident, Zen murmured. He sent me a message before he died. 2 words. They're close. I swallowed hard. He was protecting something. Not something, Rena corrected. Someone. Cut scene. Zen opened a second file. A voice memo. Shinji's voice. Amara, if you're hearing this, they've already taken the first step. Don't trust. Static swallowed the rest. Then a crack. A gasp. The sound of someone falling. The file ended. Rena covered her mouth. Zen lowered his head. I closed my eyes. Grief can be quiet. But rage? Rage has an echo. Open the file, I said. We need the password. What would he choose? A phrase? Zen typed a few possibilities. Nothing. I scanned the room. Shadows. Dust. A cracked mirror leaning against the wall. Something Shinji once told me pressed through the noise. When they want you to vanish, leave behind one truth only you can find. It hit me like impact. Try Kazanoha. Zen typed. The file unlocked. Cut. The screen filled with transaction logs, bank transfers, shell corporations, all routed through private trusts in Singapore. Dozens of them. The total, $51.6 million siphoned away. All authorized by my digital signature. Digital forgery, Zen said. Matching your biometrics. They used your old tablet, the one you left in Los Gatos. My throat tightened. I wiped that device 2 years ago. Colton's people restored the data. They rebuilt your profile. Then they weaponized it. Rena trembled. They're planning to move everything in 12 hours. Once it's gone, you'll be sued, extradited, and erased. Zen scrolled further. More files. Legal documents. A pre-drafted criminal complaint. Forgery. Securities fraud. Financial misconduct. Charges that would stick long enough to destroy me. Cut scene. A noise. Soft. Metallic. Ispoon. Footsteps outside the warehouse. Slow. Testing the perimeter. Zen snapped his laptop shut. Rena killed the lamp. The darkness felt alive. 3 shadows crossed the windows. Broad shoulders. Tactical movement. Not amateurs. My heart pounded like fists on iron. Back exit, Zen whispered. We moved fast. No talking. Only breath. Cut. The back door slammed open to a freezing alley. Rain hammered the asphalt. Neon signs flickered in puddles. Zen pushed us behind a dumpster. Then headlights exploded across the alley. A black sedan barreling toward us. Run! Zen shouted. We sprinted, water splashing, tires screeching behind us. The sedan clipped the dumpster, metal screaming. Sparks flew. My foot slipped, but Zen grabbed my arm, dragging me upright. A gunshot cracked the air. Rena screamed. We dove behind a concrete barrier. Another bullet shattered a streetlight. Glass rained down like glittering shrapnel. They're not trying to scare us, I said breathlessly. They're making cleanup look like a robbery gone wrong. Zen peeked over the barrier. We can't outrun them. We don't have to, I said. We just have to make them miss. Cut scene. A delivery truck rounded the corner. Its brakes squealed as Zen waved both arms. The driver cursed, slamming on the brakes. I yanked open the passenger door. Emergency. Drive. He hesitated for half a second, then saw the gunman. He drove. Hard. The sedan fishtailed behind us, gaining speed. Zen leaned out the rear door, firing 2 warning shots into the air, not to hit, but to force pursuit distance. The sedan hesitated. Just enough. The truck swerved onto the main road, weaving through late-night traffic. Horns blared. Rain smeared the windshield. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Unknown number again. I opened the message. A single sentence. If they killed Nakata, don't ask what they saved for you. My stomach flipped. Rena clutched her bleeding arm. You're not safe here. You're not safe anywhere. I stared out the window. Rain streaking like falling wires. They killed Shenji for a password, I whispered. Imagine what they'd kill for the whole company. They faked my signature. But did they fake my death too? The notice came at sunrise. Vibrant orange light slammed into the room like an alarm. My phone buzzed again. Urgent, unrelenting. Tokyo. Wanted for questioning. No bail. No delay. I read it twice. Legally served to my U.S. Embassy inbox. Courteous on the surface, lethal underneath. I shut the laptop. Hard. Zen's eyes didn't leave me. They're serious, he said. No judgment. Just fact. I wanted to vomit, but didn't. Cut. Rena lay on the couch, bandaged, pale. They're building a case, she murmured. A fortress of lies. Lawyers, subpoenas, falsified evidence, fake wire transfers, every piece designed to pin me as the architect of fraud. This is no longer corporate warfare, I said. It's a legal ambush. Distraction. A knock. Soft. Almost polite. Zen tensed. I slid the desk drawer open, hand on the handle. It wasn't police. Rena stood, there on the other side of this city. Her voice cracked like a whip. Who? Kaito Nakamura. The name made my blood thrum. Takashima Holdings. The man who smiled too easily at boardroom cameras. Warm handshakes. Polite applause. Now a ghost with power. Cut. I grabbed my coat. We're going to Tokyo, I said. Rena looked up. Fear and steel colliding in her eyes. We go together, Zen said. And we face what, I whispered head on. The airport was chaos. Rain pelting the tarmac. Terminal lights flickering in sync with my pulse. A lone piano note played overhead. Wrong song. Wrong time. You only feel real fear when silence follows sound. Even then you wait. Cut. Tokyo greeted us with neon and thunder. A storm rolling from the bay. The kind that whispers of secrets buried deep below. We stepped out into humidity. A taxi roared toward us, splashing through puddles that reflected skyscraper lights, fractured like broken glass. Rena pulled something from her purse. An envelope. Thick. Official. Untouched by wind. Too deliberate. I intercepted this, she said. Inside, draft indictments. Multiple pages. Signed by Tokyo prosecutors. Charge: financial misconduct, digital forgery, international fraud, full archival request from U.S. DOJ. Arrest upon arrival. I breathed, then froze. This wasn't just a trap. It was a declaration of war. Cut. We entered the ministry building. Massive, brutal concrete. A fortress. Security scanners. Guards with eyes like autopsies. You could feel judgment before you saw it. A receptionist looked up. Who are you here to see? She asked. None of your business, Zen said. I gave her a flat stare. I need access to my own evidence file, I said. She hesitated. Then, through the glass doors behind her, a man watched. Tall, suit crisp. My stepfather's lawyer, Hiroshi Kengo. He didn't move. Just watched. A thin smile. Cut. Sheriff's department just called, Zen whispered. They want confirmation on the fraud charges. Before tomorrow. I blinked. Pulse spiked. We don't have 48 hours, I said. A guard approached. Rena placed the envelope on the counter. Her voice steady. This is a preservation request. Legal hold. Protect these records. The receptionist's eyes darted between us and the watchful man behind glass. Then, she picked up the phone. Her fingers trembled. The guard leaned in, silent. And then the phone line went dead. Cut. The man inside, Hiroshi, walked toward us. Smooth stride. You're far from home, he said, voice warm as a graveyard. I'm exactly where I need to be, I said. He smiled again. Too comfortable in hostility. You should know, he said. The evidence against you, it's voluminous. Convincing. I didn't blink. Convincing to whom? To the courts, he said. Soon. Zen moved just a shade. Not enough to alarm. But enough for me. Hiroshi's smile sharpened. Bird talons in silk gloves. Wouldn't want this to escalate, he said, to a public diplomatic incident. Rena stepped forward. Diplomatic immunity doesn't apply, she said. Not when there's fraud. He turned his gaze on her. Something old shifted in his eyes. Recognition. Former flame. But that didn't mean mercy. Cut. Sirens outside. A black sedan screeched to the curb. Agents in plain clothes, badges flashing. Orders barked into radios. They pushed through the glass doors. Chaos ignited. I held my ground. Zen moved behind me. Rena reeled back, eyes locked on Hiroshi. And then something clicked. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Again. If they killed Nakata, don't ask what they saved for you. I stared at the message. The room blurred. Hiroshi's face thinned. And I realized. They wanted me framed. They needed me detained. Not for justice, but for power. Someone in Tokyo wants me dead, and someone in this house is helping them. The room was too bright, a glare that made every surface feel like exposure, like truth, like accusation. I stood at the podium inside the Tokyo shareholder hall. Full capacity, cameras rolling on every angle, the world watching. Trust, once lost, is very hard to regain, I said, hearing my voice echo before it landed. But we can rebuild it by confronting the lies that tried to bury us. Short, sharp, no room for hesitation. Cut. Behind me, the projection screens flickered with evidence, emails, forged documents, wire transfer trails, intercepted communications between Colton and Tokyo insiders. The room shifted. Some gasped. Some blinked. Some looked away, unable to face the unraveling. I scanned the crowd. Legal teams, media, analysts, investors, and amidst them, Hiroshi Kengo, stone-faced, controlled, defeated but still calculating. Today, I continued, I offer transparency, not defiance, not revenge, truth. A slight tremor in the lights, like a heartbeat skipped. A journalist raised a hand. Ms. Davenport, why now? Because, I said, justice doesn't wear a glass ceiling. There it was, an old saying I kept for moments like this. Truth isn't just revealed. It's demanded. Cut. The broadcast went live. International feed. Instant traction. Colton's name trended within minutes. The forged digital fingerprints, matched to devices linked back to him. Evelyn's shell companies. The accounts siphoned to Singapore. It was all there. Numbers, dates, names, and faces. A lawyer whispered to a reporter. Reputation can't hide from data. I let that settle in the air. Cut. Suddenly, the doors at the back slammed open. Security flanked Colton, not in cuffs but alive. His face was pale as wet marble. He pushed through. Bold. Mad. Amara, he said. What you think you're doing? You made me, I interrupted. Now I end this. His eyes flicked to the screens, to the evidence, to the crowd. Panic soured his expression. Evelyn stepped forward. No fear. No hesitation. Father, she said. It ends here. The hall fell into a pressurized silence. I watched every muscle in Colton's face tighten. Reality crashing in. Cut. Rena stood beside me. She'd come as my counsel, my shield, my unlikely ally. She leaned in, whispered. Power built on deceit collapses faster than trust. I nodded, feeling the truth in every syllable. The lead investigator stepped in, briefcase in hand. Formal charges, public records, legal orders. Everything prepared. No chaos, no ambiguity. Just law. Cut. Outside, sirens wailed like a dirge through Tokyo Bay. Flashbulbs snapped. Voices called for statements. But I walked out alone. Just me. And the ocean wind. Cold. Sharp. Truth cut deeper than any blade. There on the dock, lights shimmered on the water like fractured hope. I let the hum of the city rise behind me, a testament to chaos and to order reclaimed. Someone once told me, success isn't defined by power, but by integrity in the face of loss. I felt that now, bone deep. Not relief, not triumph, a kind of solemn victory, earned, not bestowed. Zen and Rena emerged, silent but steady. No celebración. Just presence. Just endurance. We stood, watching the water. Tokyo Bay breathing slow. Like forgiveness. Like consequence. Cut. The press circled later. Questions. Cameras. Expectations. But I walked past all of it. To a waiting car. To a new chapter. To an identity reclaimed, not just legally but morally. A reporter called out, Ms. Davenport, what now? I looked back. Eyes steady. You can bury truth, but it grows back like roots. Then I closed the door. The engine purred. We moved. Lights blurred like falling stars against glass. And in that blur I saw something familiar, my own reflection. Stronger. Sharper. Unbroken. Cut. The truth remained. And for the first time in a long while, I breathed. They built an empire on lies. I burned it down with the only match they forgot, me. A lesson learned hard. A world watched. A legacy reclaimed. And the silence afterward was louder than the lies that tried to kill it.